But on pages 10 and 11, not only is the Mirror reporting that almost 2 million people in the public sector could quit, I'm not sure how that differs to the average day, there is a roundup of revelations from this weekend that not only was Liz Truss's private mobile phone hacked, probably by the Russians, but the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, is facing calls to resign again after it turns out that she didn't cough to a security breach. She's been accused of multiple security breaches. She may have broken the law over processing asylum seekers and may also have assisted on some insider trading with regard to migration figures. Now, Nigel, leaving aside the fact that both of these women are about as dim as a 2-watt bulb, why, oh why, oh why, oh why are government ministers using private mobiles, private email accounts and WhatsApp to conduct government business?
Well, they shouldn't be, is the simple answer. I mean, it is a breach of the ministerial code if you use either your private email account or a private phone to conduct business. And that's what Suella Braverman was fired for the first time. That she used a private email account in breach of the ministerial code to send a message to an MP which was confidential, another breach. Then 6 days later, she's brought back by Rishi Sunak because she'd promised him her support, provided she could be Home Secretary again. He should have been a bit tougher on her not to do that. When it comes to Liz Truss, again, the private phone, if that was used for government business as it's alleged, especially when she's talking about the war in Ukraine, possible arms shipments, that should not have happened. And had that come out during the leadership campaign, when it seems to have been first revealed, Liz Truss wouldn't have remained as Foreign Secretary because she'd have been in breach of the ministerial code. What is astonishing about the Liz Truss affair is this a matter of just simple politics, that we didn't know about it when it was discovered last summer because she was in the middle of that leadership campaign, or is it a matter of national security, in which case we shouldn't really have known about it at all?
Exactly. The fact it's come out in itself is a breach of some kind of code, isn't it? But of course, one of the big reasons that politicians start using their private email accounts is because when journalists come along and issue freedom of information requests, or campaigners for that matter, and say, I'd like to see all government communications on this issue or that issue, or the ministerial emails about this thing, please. These aren't the things that get automatically searched necessarily, but there have been lots of FOI cases and appeals where eventually the WhatsApps and the private email accounts, Michael Gove used his wife's email account, as I recall, when he was first in government. And there was a huge row about that, but eventually they do get found, they do get come out. So they're trying to use private communications to keep it away from the journalists, but in so doing are handing it to the cyber hackers and Russia and people who are much, much worse than journalists, one would have thought. We'll have to see how that one pans out, won't we? Now, Mike says there are reports that Simon Case protected both Liz Truss and Suella Braverman. Simon Case is the cabinet secretary, of course. Is he being set up to take the fall for their misdeeds? Is this true, Nigel? Because I saw some stuff about Simon Case, who is the top civil servant in the government, actually being furious that Suella was back in when she shouldn't have been.
Yes, I mean, all the indications are that he said that there's no way she should have been re-employed. He was also the first person to say that when she sent that email that she shouldn't have done, that she'd clearly breached the ministerial code and therefore she should be asked to resign. So certainly he seems to actually want to keep the rules. That's why I do find the claim odd that he got involved in the Liz Truss phone hack business in the summer and agreed with Boris Johnson that it shouldn't be made public. That seems a bit peculiar. And also, apart from keeping their private communications away from us journalists, they also want to keep them away from their colleagues. That if the reports are true, that one of the things that Liz Truss was talking about was slagging off Boris Johnson to her mate Kwasi Kwarteng. So I'm sure she didn't want the then Prime Minister to be reading that kind of thing. But even so, that she shouldn't be doing this on a private phone, that the one thing that everybody gets when they come into government, and that's from junior civil servants up to the Prime Minister, is they get a secure laptop and a secure iPhone, and that's where all communications are meant to be done, because that's the way to keep national security safe.
Yeah, you'd have thought that when you get the job, you hand in your mobile phone and go, well, I'm not going to be gossiping with my mates or having funny emojis with someone for a bit, because this is my job now and it's more important than that. But no, they keep their personal phones. So let's see how that all turns out in the long run, shall we?